happy Sunday, happy quarantine. By the way, there's music playing in the background. I do not own any rights to it. It just helps me cook better. Today we have something super simple. I would assume it'll probably take about 10 minutes total for this whole video. We're going to be making Fruity Pebble mini cheesecake bites, or Fruity Pebble cheesecake bites. Very simple ingredients. Fruity Pebbles, or whatever brand of fruity cereal you need. I got some melted butter. That's going to be for the crust. You're going to need 8 ounces of cream cheese. For me, I'm doing 24. 8 ounces will make 12 cheesecakes. I'm doing a double batch, so I'm using 16 ounces. So I'll just stick with single, and just remember, anything I do single, you can just double it as with the numbers. So basic for you: 8 ounces of cream cheese, 2.5 cups of Fruity Pebbles total for the entire thing, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, 4 eggs, and sugar. That's literally all that you need for this ingredient. The first step is line your cupcake pans with cupcake wrappers. You don't have to do cupcake wrappers. You can, but if you don't use cupcake wrappers, make sure you use a quality baking pan and spray them, or use a non-stick one. To me, it's easier to get the cupcake liners. It's super easy. You don't have to make a mess in your pan. So again, the first step is to do your cupcake liners. And by the way, I'm doing 2 different types. So one is going to be the Fruity Pebbles, and the other one is going to be just original. So I'm not going to add any Fruity Pebbles, or I'm not going to have a Fruity Pebble crust. The other crust that I did already make is my vanilla wafers, which will be the same exact ingredients as same exact measurements of the Fruity Pebbles. Instead, I use 2 cups of vanilla wafers and 6 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of sugar. All right, so we'll start with getting my 2 cups of Fruity Pebbles, and I'm gonna I'm using the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can completely use it. Do it by hand. It'll just take you a little bit longer, but that's completely fine. So I'm gonna add my Fruity Pebbles, my butter, just throw that all in there, and I'm just gonna add, completely optional, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of sugar, just because I tried this yesterday. I did a class yesterday online virtually, and I think it turned out really good with adding that extra teaspoon of sugar. So I'm just gonna mix it up. Okay, so now I mix it up. You kind of want it in like a choppy, rough, coarse type sand looking consistency. Now all you're gonna do is, you can take a tablespoon, or if you have a small cookie cutter, you can use a cookie cutter. I'm gonna use a cookie cutter because it's easier. But again, if you don't have that, you can use a tablespoon. So right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill all these up, half of them with my Fruity Pebbles, and half with my vanilla wafer mix. And I'm gonna use about 1 scoop of my Fruity Pebble mix. And you're gonna kind of pat it in there. If you can see in here how I'm patting it down, just enough to get the bottom of it. Okay, just kind of pat it down, and that's it for this process. Now that you have filled your cupcake liners, you can set it to the side. We'll come back for it. Alrighty, so next we're gonna do our cream cheese mix. So I already kind of chopped up my cream cheese up a little bit, so it's easier to mix. As I always say, if you don't have a mixer, you can do this with a hand mixer, or you can do it just by hand. If you do it by hand, it is gonna take a lot longer. So it'll be actually pretty helpful if you do have a mixer. So right now I'm just gonna add my 8 ounces of cream cheese for you all. Again, I'm using 16 ounces because I'm doing a double batch. So I'm going to kind of loosen it up with the paddle. And eventually I'm going to switch to a whisk once my cream cheese has softened up a little bit. For you all, you're gonna add 3/4 cups of sugar if you're doing a single batch. If you're doing a double, it's gonna be a cup and a half. So my cream cheese is kind of softening up, so I'm gonna add my sugar. So again, I'm using 1.5 cups of sugar. You all, if you're doing a single batch, you're gonna use 3/4 cups of sugar. Add my sugar in there. All right, so I use a separate cup to be able to crack my eggs in. This is to prevent any eggshells from getting in my cheesecake mix or cake mix, whatever you're doing. I always separate my eggs. So I'm gonna go ahead and scrape down the sides of my cream cheese so we can have an even mix. Kind of scrape some of it down from the paddle. Back on. And one at a time I'm gonna add my egg. Once I start to see it kind of incorporate, I'm gonna switch to my paddle. Okay, so here, I'm going to switch my whisk. And then one egg is fine. Yeah. I'm going to switch my whisk and give it a lot more fluidity. Okay. So it's going to kind of be on a low speed. You want to keep it on a low speed because if you put too much air in it, you take the risk of your cheesecake cracking. And if the cheesecake crack, it'll still be fine. I'm going to show you all after they're done how to make them pretty, so you can always cover up the cracks. But just to avoid the crack, just kind of keep it on a low whisk. So again, I'm going to add the remainder of my 3 eggs. Last but not least, actually second to last, I'm going to add a tablespoon of flour. This is optional if you live in the South. Probably don't need to add a tablespoon, but we live up in the north where our altitude is a little bit higher. So that flour is going to help it rise. Actually, I'm going to tablespoon of flour to 1 batch. I'm doing 2 batches, so I need 2 tablespoons of flour. Again, it's completely optional. For me, it works because we live in a high altitude. Again, as I say, you could do it if you have low altitude or in the south. It won't do anything but make it rise a little bit more. So. Again, it's completely optional if you want to do it, but if you struggle with your desserts falling, add the flour. Now, last but not least for the ingredient is our vanilla extract. For a single batch, you want to use 2 teaspoons. For a double, I use 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. That's finishing up. I'm going to go ahead and bring my cups. And what you need for this part is this one is a mashed potato scooper, or you can just again use a tablespoon like you used before. Okay, my mix is done. It should look like a cake batter. So as you can see, that's all the ingredients in here. It looks like a pancake batter or a cake batter, whichever one you want to call it, I guess. If you still have a little lumps in there, it'd be fine. If you want to avoid like the lumps in there, you can beat it a little bit more to get them out. And so the last process for this, I'm just going to take my mashed potato scooper and just fill each individual cupcake liner. I'm filling it up to about 3/4 of the way of the cupcake liner. You don't want it to go that much over because it is going to rise. So kind of be careful with that. All right, final step. I'm going to bake our cheesecakes for about 15 minutes on 350. You can put it, if you're baking on a double rack, I would try to keep it in the middle, or avoid from keeping it, if your heat rises from the bottom, don't put it at the bottom because it'll burn the crust. And if it's too close to the top, you don't want to burn the top. So I kind of keep it in the center. And you're gonna bake it for 15 minutes. And then you're gonna cut your oven off. Once your timer goes off in 15 minutes, cut your oven off. And cut your oven off. You're gonna crack the oven just about like that and let them sit in there for like another 5 to 10 minutes. Because you don't want to put them out too fast because then they'll fall. Alrighty, so just to catch up the speed, I took the cheesecakes out of the oven, and remember we left them in for 5 minutes so them cool, and we refrigerated them for about an hour to 2 hours. Once they're out of the oven, I've already pulled one out for you so you can see what I did. I took the cupcake liner off. I made some whipped cream, which is super simple. You'll need a pastry bag or a Ziploc bag, whichever you have, and whatever favorite tip you want to use. I use a flour tip. The ingredients for the whipped cream are simple. 1 cup of heavy cream, 1/4 cup of sugar, and a tablespoon of vanilla extract. I whipped it up in a mixer until it was stiff. You can do it by hand until it's stiff, and that's it. So I'll just show you how I decorate it. So I just took a little rosé in the middle, like that. Super simple. Boom, 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 boom. There you have it. Decorated my options for you. This is the one that you all seen in the video, the Fruity Pebbles. All the same cheesecakes. I just took the different options and what you can do with them. So the ones that I have vanilla extract, or the vanilla wafers, I just tossed it with some blueberries and cherries, and the vanilla wafer crust. And then here all I took was some extra Fruity Pebbles, decorated the plate, put a whipped cream top on, and finish it off with the topping. So I appreciate you all for watching. Like, share, please comment, share with your friends. And I hope to see you again. And again, if you have not had a great day, find a reason to make it.